PSA to the seasoning police on this app.
We're only in March and 2023 has already peaked. This lady has gone viral on TikTok for a cooking video in which she had the audacity, nay, the caucasity, to question the seasoning police.
Here's a PSA to the seasoning police on this app. If in your brain you only view seasoning as things like garlic powder, onion powder, or maybe something like rosemary, if this is what you view as seasoning and seasoning only, let me pose you a question. What does this come from? Granulated garlic, what is that? Garlic? Onion powder, where does that come from? Dehydrated onion?
There's only one word that comes to mind watching that. Problematic. What exactly do you mean, seasoning police? I know what she meant by that because a lot of my friends are on the force. Some of my best friends are members of the seasoning police.
Let's take a look at the spice rub. Dehydrated garlic, onion, and bell pepper.
If you want to talk to me direct. Don't go through the corners.
This feels like a microaggression. This is a response to TikTok trolls. Please explain how this is a microaggression. And what groups of people / cultures use powdered seasonings and seasonings in general? I think you can figure this one out yourself.
Sauteed those bell peppers along with my onion and garlic.
What is so funny to me is if I had just doused my chicken in this rub alone, the seasoning police would be out of my comments. They wouldn't even be in there.
What do you mean, you people?
What do you mean, you people?
Huh?
But the second it's fresh garlic or fresh onion or fresh bell pepper, it's automatically not seasoning.
White people not seasoning their food actually really is based in racism and classism, lol. Now you know. The reason white people don't season food is because historically rich people began to think seasoning was for brown people who had to season their food because they couldn't afford better tasting meat. Yeah, that's right. Yes, that's why this lady is using fresh garlic instead of powdered garlic. Medieval racism. They also associated unseasoned food with cleanliness and moral purity, calling it clean or simple eating. In medieval Europe, the rich felt that once spices became affordable for everyone instead of just the wealthy, they no longer wanted them. So basically, white people don't season their food because their ancestors thought seasoning was for poor people and brown people. LOL. Got him! Got him!
And let me just say one last thing. If you're one of those people that loves to watch cooking competitions and a judge says something is under-seasoned, they're talking about salt. Under-seasoning your food means there's not enough salt in it. Salt is gonna bring out the flavor of onion, the flavor of garlic, the flavor of whatever random spice rub that you have. And let me just say that if your food tastes a little off, it's not because you need to add more powder. It's most of the time because you need to add more salt or some sort of acid like lemon juice or vinegar, okay?
I'm being silly with this video. I'm being facetious, right? I just think that the world, we need to calm down, right? It's kind of what like Jordan Peterson was saying, isn't it? Isn't it? You know, with these online trolls. As if anyone really looks at that TikTok video and thinks, that woman's racist. No one really does. It's just that the most controversial takes on anything are the things that get the algorithm churning, you know? The things that get more interaction, more clicks, more responses, right? Are we not human? Can we not think for ourselves anymore? Is it just the Twitter algorithm that decides what is and what isn't an acceptable point of view nowadays, or a thing to say? I'm gonna give you a little, I don't know. I'm gonna explain a little bit the way I see the world, and I'm gonna circle back, right? So this is relevant. I'm gonna get to there is a point to this rambling, right? I'm gonna get to it. I'm gonna get to it right now. I was brought up in immense privilege on a council estate in northern England, in Sheffield, on a council estate called Parson Cross. And for anyone who's not English watching this, a council estate, if you're American, is like a project, I guess, you know, like council housing that the government makes for poor people, right? I guess. I wasn't that poor. Quite a lot of people live in council estates and they're not, you know, they're not poverty stricken, right? And also, when I say it's like a project, that's kind of like saying badger to an American person, isn't it? You think of American badgers are like killing deers and stuff. When English people think of badgers, they think of the cute little stripy, woodland critter, right? So, point being, I grew up on a council estate, which is like a cute version of a project, if you're an American listener, okay? And this is, what I'm trying to do here is give you an idea of the prism through which I see the world, right? And so why I think all of these things are just so ridiculous, why we're kind of wasting our time calling a nice young lady racist because she says that we should use fresh ingredients instead of powdered seasoning. Yeah? Do you get what I'm saying? I'm going to give you a quick account, a brief account of, a brief description of a few of the characters who I grew up around. Kyle. Kyle was a lad who lived around the corner from me in Parson Cross. And I won't say his surname. He was a psychopath. He was a couple of years older than me. And he was just a bully, right? He didn't have any friends his own age. And he was just... He'd sort of hang around with younger kids, trying to bully them. Essentially sort of befriending them. And then his go-to phrase was, "I'm going to set Sheba on ya." Now, Sheba, for those of you... Well, none of you know. Sheba was this insane bitch German Shepherd that he had. Fucking mental. The most mental animal I've ever seen in my life. It was massive. It was aggressive. I used to go into his house and his mum would... I'm not joking. I would go into the house, going through the front door, and he would have to say at the front door, "Mum, Danny's coming in," right? And his mum would say, "Well, fucking hell, Kyle, why fire?" And it'd be a big commotion, and she'd have to grab Sheba, drag the bitch into the kitchen, right? And I would have to run past the kitchen door. And you would just hear this fucking... It was like a wolf. Like a fucking demon was in the kitchen. And the mum just fucking screaming, "Fucking get upstairs! Get fuck upstairs, Kyle!" And it was like that. Right. This Kyle was such a fucking prick. But you couldn't really... He wasn't a tough kid. Right? He talked like that. "I'm going to set Sheba on ya." Right, fucking prick. I hated him. And eventually I went no contact, right? Yeah. Anyway, point is, I had the height advantage, right? He's a couple of years older than me. Had the puppy fat advantage as well. Though I didn't do badly myself in that department. He had that puppy fat, sort of fat body that if he just fell on you, you know, you'd be fucked. Not literally, right? And I hated that fucker, right? He was white. Okay, let's describe another white person I grew up around. It was a predominantly white area, okay? There were very few non-white people in Parson Cross. As I say, it was an extremely... we were extremely privileged on Parson Cross. Yeah, very exclusive neighbourhood. No, it just happened to be a poor white area, you know. Anyway, Another white person. There's this fella, I won't say his name, for reasons that will become clear, who used to hang around the park. But he was at least in his 30s. But he'd hang around the park, this fat fella, with his little beady spectacles he used to wear. He had loads of Pokemon cards. Loads. He once showed me a shiny Scyther, and that is not, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm talking about the Pokemon card, right? He had the shiny cider, and I would have done... What wouldn't I have done for that shiny cider? I think that may have been why he had the shiny cider. Do you know what I mean? Right. He had all the Tomb Raider games. Why? I don't know. Some kids used to sleep at his flat. I don't know what was going on there. I don't know. That's why I'm not saying his name. He could have been just a nice guy who loved Pokemon and video games and had kids that weren't in any way related to him over to his house to sleep. I don't know. But that was another guy. He was white. My best mate was a guy called Mike, and his brother Matt as well. I was more friends with Mike, and they weren't exact. I mean, they were kind of white. Their surname was, they had an Arabic surname. In fact, I got into a fight with Mike one day because I was like, well, that surname's a bit, where's that from? Because like, you're not completely white, are you? And he's like, yeah, my granddad's from Arab. Now, I was a bit of a stickler for things like that. I liked my map of the world and stuff. And I'm like, Mike, there's no place called Arab. Arab might be how you would describe somebody from an Arabic-speaking country, right? That person isn't an Arab. Even then, it'd be politically incorrect. I don't think I said that exactly, but I was like, Arab. I mean, you're being racist there to yourself, right? Anyway, he insisted, and so I pushed him off the garden wall. That taught him. But we made up. And yeah, he was my best mate. He had my back, I had his. And it was just me and Mike against the world. Yeah, anyway. The point is, not one of us, we all judged each other on the content of our characters, just like Martin Luther King would have wanted. There was a slightly pedo guy. I don't care if he's black or white. Right? There's the big, fat, bully twat who lived around the corner. White, hated him. Mike, coolest guy I ever met. And do you know what? None of us had a fucking clue how much any of us were seasoning our food. Think about it.
Le fiche au kérosène.